Hey everyone, it's Matt.
And this is Lucas.
This is Thanks for Playing,
The podcast where we break down the most iconic video games the medium has to offer. What's up, Matt?
Bro, big dog. Skip it about. What's popping? Feeling healthy.
Yeah, I'm feeling
Got my coffee in front of me and my press start video game mug. It's juicy.
You look good, man.
You look cute too.
Dude, I've been playing some Melee lately, as I know you've seen.
I know, Samus. I hate it. You picked the lamest characters. You play Marth and Samus.
No.
I play an honest character like Sheik.
I don't see how Samus is not on it. And Samus isn't even like a high tier character.
It's just missiles, bro. It's gimmicks.
Yeah, dude. No, it's not. Okay, well then it's gimmick. Just figure out the gimmick and then beat it.
No, man, it's too good.
Besides Melee, my back is finally healed up, so I can hit the driving range again.
Oh, let's go.
Nice. So a little bit of golf happening pretty soon.
Yeah, I did want to mention, I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I did hear that apparently next gen video games, so things on like the PS5 and the next Xbox, the games are going to start to be $70 instead of $60. What do you think about that?
I heard about this. This is a big headline going around about this. Yeah. Well, honestly, games haven't really. When's the last time we increased? I remember games were 50, and I remember when they jumped to 60, and that was.
I feel like they jumped from the, I guess, like PlayStation 2 eras, like Gen 3 to Gen 4. I think they jumped, like PlayStation 2 to PS3. They went up. That's how I remembered. I could be wrong. But
now so I guess my thought on that is we really have not seen an increase for a long time, and I have no issue with it.
Yeah, I was a little butthurt at first. I was like, hell no. And then I thought about it. I'm like, when's the last time there's actually been a price jump? And the amount of resources and times, or the amount of time that's going into these games, is definitely increasing without a doubt.
Yeah.
So,
I'm all into the model of like free to play with with loot boxes. I know it's just like a loaded term, but I'm for the model where the game is free to play and then you can just get cosmetics and then buy. And like honestly, any game that's like that I've poured a lot of hours into.
That's like the most successful games these days. Like Valorant is like that. Valorant.
Yeah.
League of Legends.
League,
any
Overwatch.
battle royale game.
Yeah.
Is like that. They're all free, and then you can just buy extra stuff. That's the best way to get players, because then they figure, well, I'm putting so much time into it already. What's another $30-$40?
Yeah.
And then they do that every year for 3 years. Then you have a game that you put $90 into. It's like,
well, no, but also the big thing about that model is that like the top 1% of spenders on those games spend a ridiculous amount of money. So they make up for all of us that are playing for free, basically.
Yeah.
I probably spent, I played Overwatch for a year, maybe a little bit more. And I probably spent $40 on it, which is less than the price of a full game. But somebody out there spent, $5,000. And I mean, it's a tough line to ride. Actually, I hear a lot of people talk about it because loot boxes, in a sense, can be a form of gambling, or considered to be a form of gambling by a lot of people. And when you're kind of putting that in the hands of people, they can go crazy, and it's not healthy, right? And we're all about healthy things on this podcast.
All about health.
So yeah, that's the line, right? But the plus side is that thousands of people get to play the game essentially for free, who have no access to buy a game in the first place. So there's two sides to that coin. I think jumping things up to $70 just for a base game is fine. There's plenty of free games to play out there that are basically full games.
Yeah.
You and I could play Overwatch, Apex, or Valorant right now for free. And they're perfectly great. So yeah, the $70 thing, I'm cool with it.
Rock on, big dog. Me too.
All right. Matt, what game are we talking about today on the podcast?
Oh! We are talking about, speaking of Apex, we are talking about Titanfall 2, the #1 Gundam parkour simulator.
I like that. #1 Gundam.
Yeah, I put a good 5 minutes of thought into that.
Yeah, that's good. I can tell. So Titanfall 2 was released in fall of 2016 for all the major platforms: Xbox, PC, PS4. It got a 10 out of 10 on Steam. It has 9 out of 10 on IGN and an 89 on Metacritic. It's a sequel to the previous game, which has the name Titanfall 1, released in 2014 by the same studio. It was released by Respawn Entertainment and published by EA. Now, Matt, this is 2016, so throw yourself back 4 years. Okay, a lot has changed in 4 years. These are I'm gonna name some games that came out in 2016. I'm gonna gauge your reaction here.
Okay.
Uncharted 4.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 15. Yeah.
Sorry, I reacted to my webcam, but not.
You gotta make noise here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The Witness.
Oh, a fan favorite there.
Inside.
Okay.
Firewatch.
Love Firewatch.
Okay. And here's one. No Man's Sky.
Controversial.
Okay. But hang on. Here's. I'm gonna name another 3 here. No, another 4. I'm sorry. And I wanna hear your opinion for another thing. So, Gears 4. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Yep.
Overwatch, and Battlefield 1. What do the last 4 have in common?
You're all, at the very least, decent shooters.
They're all gunny, shooty, runny games. Yeah. So I think the story of Titanfall 2 is really interesting because it falls in line with kind of being released in the window that those 4 games were released in. Basically, everywhere, Titanfall 2 is considered to be an incredible first-person shooter game. Multiplayer, campaign. It actually has one of the best We're going to talk mostly about the campaign today. It actually has one of the best campaigns I've played ever. Seriously, ever. And it famously did not do commercially well.
Yeah. The whole narrative that I've heard about this game leading up to it, like the way I heard about this game was the fact that it's amazing, but it got overshadowed by everything else because it just came out during such a crowded and saturated period of good shooter games, to be honest, that it just kind of got lost in the cloud.
Yeah. No, it got lost in all the noise, really.
Yeah, lost in all the noise, and it was just got buried under, but it's an amazing game without a doubt. Really solid campaign, really solid. I don't know if you played around with multiplayer at all, but really great multiplayer as well. But we can get into all that. But yeah, very interesting to kind of go back and play a game that realistically, critically, was a very good success, just commercially due to a lot of variables, somewhat out of its control, kind of.
I was definitely part of the issue because I was playing nothing but like Overwatch that year. So I get it. I think maybe it was the look, the style, the campaigning, the marketing, who knows, but it just didn't quite hit the audience it needed to hit to be very successful that year. And I'll give you, here's a quote. Okay. This was IGN's, it's a quote from the IGN review by Brandon Tyrrell, and gave it a 9, right? When it came out in that fall. It says, "It's rare that a sequel evolves on every part of the original concept so consistently for the better, but Titanfall 2 is that exception. Its feel-good movement is the foundation for both the engaging action and platforming gameplay of its strong campaign and its over-the-top competitive multiplayer. With bolstered progression, customization, variety, and a fleshed-out story, Respawn has made good on its original vision with Titanfall 2, and bottom line, it's just damn fun to play." Titanfall 2, seriously, like we're saying, is really, really critically successful, but commercially not. And here's another fact for you, Matt. That year, Titanfall 2 was on the top 10 for Game of the Year.
Really?
For IGN, yes, it was on the top 10 for Game of the Year, up there with The Witness, with Inside, with Overwatch, XCOM 2.
Just being named alongside The Witness, I know,
pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
And Inside too, because that's a phenomenal game as well. So there was a lot of games it was competing with that year.
Yeah, I would think too, anecdotally as well, especially just in like the shooter genre and like the FPS genre as well. It was going up against so many, barring Overwatch, but which had the backing of Blizzard notoriety and fame. It was going against games that had such established franchises and IPs as well. Yeah. Whereas, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong on this, I don't think the original Titanfall, like, while it was a good game, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is incredible type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was sort of set up to not fail, but to struggle in that regard, and just in the fact that it was going up against these franchise giants.
Yeah, I think Titanfall 1 was good enough to make Titanfall
and developer 2 giants too, because I mean, Respawn up to that point hadn't done. The only other game they had shipped was Titanfall up to that point, so they didn't even have that much I guess, notoriety or clout, behind them at that point.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, personally, I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a really, really fun campaign. I thought it was just like a perfect, refreshing, fun weekend getaway. it
Yeah.
was great. Yeah.
I love single player campaigns like this because it's like you're playing a action movie is how I feel about it. Like I love the Call of Duty campaigns too, to be honest, because it's like I'm playing an action movie, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can our generation, Matt, for sure. I mean, middle school was like Call of Duty 4 Modern
Oh yeah.
Warfare, which I think ushered in like this epic campaign thing. Like this is this is the standard for a really great first person shooter campaign. Everybody remembers one shot, one kill, right? Like it's just we remember these awesome moments in a campaign,
Yeah.
and I think any kid playing Titanfall 2 is going to remember like affecting cause, which is the level with the time travel in Titanfall 2. They're going to remember like jumping in a Titan and like shooting and destroying everything in their path in Titanfall 2 in the campaign. And I think
Crazy
and that's
parkour and all of it. Yeah.
yeah, and then like jumping on the walls and everything. It's just challenging enough. It's really fun. It's just challenging enough. And I only really ran through it on normal, but as you kind of move up, I'm assuming it's quite a bit more challenging, just like the other campaigns can. But yeah, I mean, it was just so much fun to play. Really was. So I'm gonna jump into just a full synopsis here, just so everyone knows what the hell we're talking about. Okay, so Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter video game developed by Respawn Entertainment and released in fall of 2016. Is like I said, is the sequel to the 2014 game of the same name, Titanfall 1. In Titanfall 2, players take control of a pilot. A pilot is a type of super soldier inside this universe. They're agile, highly trained, and use a variety of tools to fight.
And high octane.
High octane. They have the ability to cloak. They have grappling hooks. They have wall running, and they have double jumping. In addition to these tools, pilots have the ability to control Titans, mecha-style exoskeletons with huge firepower capabilities. Titanfall 2 is set in a science fiction universe with a single. We'll cut that out.
Fuck.
Titanfall 2 is set in a science fiction universe with a single-player campaign story that follows Jack Cooper, a rifleman from the Frontier Militia who bonds with his mentor's Titan BT 7274 after his mentor is killed in action at the onset of the campaign. Together, Jack Cooper and BT embark on a quest to stop the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, or IMC, from launching a super weapon that is threatening to Yeah, Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation.
I know that's one of my critiques actually get into it.
No, the threatening to destroy the militia planet Harmony. The game had a 2-year development cycle, and like we said, had a lot of great ideas, expanded on a lot of awesome ideas from the first one. And actually, Matt, I'm not sure if you knew this, but a lot of the developers came from like kind of old Call of Duty shooters and games like that. I mean, the lead developer on this was actually the lead multiplayer on, I believe, Modern Warfare.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of crossover. Huh. I think as with many industries, I think the games industry has developers move around a lot and go towards different projects and jump between different games and companies. And talent is talent, and I think it shows a little bit, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think this
checks out.
This is like due to the limit. My theory. Here's my theory, real quick.
Break it down for me, big dog.
I think that this is the game that we always wanted to make, but we didn't have the capacity, the scale, and the the power on the consoles, right? I mean, okay, so think about the mission, and I brought it up earlier. It's called Affecting Cause on Titanfall 2. It's the mission where you're jumping in between 2 different times. You're jumping between the past and the present.
That was
phenomenal mission.
Confusing.
Okay, that mission, I look around online and people actually call it that mission. They go like, oh yeah, that's that level. Everyone knows that level.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what you're
that one about. Mission alone. Honestly, up to that point, like I was thinking this is a good game, but not anything. Like it's a good game, but I was thinking, okay, like it's maybe not deserving of all the praise it got in my opinion, but that single mission was such a peak for me in the game that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. If our listeners take anything away from this podcast, it is just to play that mission. So that mission, think of what is required of a system, right? You have to be able to seamlessly jump across a completely different rendered environment, and do it very fast, fluidly. And, there's always ideas, right? This idea could be as old as first-person shooters from 20 years ago, right? But then due to limitations of systems back then, memory, speed, all that stuff, we probably weren't able to accomplish it. I guess my point being, I think that Titanfall 2 is just a kid's fantasy from 20 years ago finally being realized and going like, man, we were able to do it. We were able to really pull off gigantic set pieces, gigantic titans fighting each other. And of course, there's probably still limitations on hardware and on graphics and things like that. But this is seriously just what I wanted as a kid, right? To play a game like this. So the game, jumping back in. The game is actually based on buddy cop films and science fiction movies,
Really?
as well as inspired by Half-Life's campaign and narrative. So it's it's clearly a buddy cop story. It's clearly there's clearly a relationship between Jack Cooper and BT throughout the whole story, which to me is amazing. I really love it.
It's that perfect, just sassy, sarcastic relationship that you would expect from two protagonists like that.
Yeah, because BT's like the cold, logical. He's the robot, right? So he's like cold and logical, and Jack is kind of sarcastic.
He has so many good little quips, like I detect sarcasm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that part. And there's a moment where BT is trying to give a thumbs up because Jack gives a thumbs up, and then BT's like, "What is that? What? Oh, that's it. That's the thumbs up." He understands what it means because a robot wouldn't really understand what a thumbs up means. Yeah, I really enjoyed those little things. They just made it feel so fun and so light. And wholesome, straight up. Cool. Matt, we can move on to a little bit of the prompts here. Okay. So when did the game click for you? Like when you started playing it, going through the campaign, was there a moment where you said like, oh, I get
it? It was really interesting actually, because I didn't I guess click for me. I wasn't engrossed in the gameplay up until the point where you first get into BT and start fighting and all that, because I was very, how do I phrase this? I was very shook at the transition between the beginning level where it's like the training mission, the augment or the virtual reality or whatever, where you're in the virtual reality with BT's original pilot, and you're learning to use the jump gear and everything. And then your very first mission in the game, you're just a normal soldier at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And it reminded me of Halo ODST. I don't know if you played that one.
I actually missed that one.
So yeah, Halo ODST, it's set in that whole universe and everything. I forget between which of the Halo games, but you're basically playing just a mercenary. You're not Master Chief. You don't have any of the jumping abilities or like any super strength or anything like that. You're just a normal grunt mercenary, and that's the role you play in that game. And I got insanely big Halo 3 ODST vibes from this game in the beginning, because the whole thing in ODST is you're like a drop soldier, so you drop in like that, like how you do in the beginning. Orbital drops.
Ship. Yeah. What is it? I don't know. Go ahead.
But yeah, you drop in the beginning of the game, and it was just very jarring because I'm like, oh, I'm going to be super soldier, and then in the beginning of the game, you don't have your jump pack, you don't have a Titan, you don't have anything. And it's just like you're a normal grunt. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna die. This sucks.
The beginning is insane. You're just like, you immediately drop. I think your ship crashes, and you're just like in this like kind of forested.
Yeah, they inject you with some like probably basically like morphine and coke mixed together to get you going. Because like your drop ship crashed, you're basically dying. They're like, the robot voice is like, hey, load them up.
That was pretty cool. I mean, then I felt like that guy. I was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a jarring beginning part. And then when do you think it really like hit? Like when you got in the Titan and
yeah, once I got in the Titan for sure, because then I was like, okay, these are the mechanics. This is what I can expect for the rest of the game, and this is what I'm going to be having fun with. Yeah. I guess. And when I really was invested in the story was when we beat the first mercenary. I think it was Kane. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it might be.
I believe it was Kane. And when we beat him, I was like, that was very satisfying, especially because he was talking so much shit.
Yeah, that was cool. And then I think
Yeah.
that's when you kind of get his communicator and you start hearing what the enemy like radio is saying, so you get a little bit of extra story.
Yeah, that was really helpful too, because that's also, we can get in a little bit more later, but that's one of my critiques is I don't think they built the lore very well, or maybe I should have
Yeah,
played. Maybe you would have got a lot more from Titanfall 1 than I would have thought you would,
yeah,
because it was only a multiplayer game. But
yeah.
I did feel a little. I was able. I mean, it's easy enough to put together the pieces of the basic. Like, okay, this IMC is an oppressive regime, corporation. Yeah,
No,
and you're the good guys trying to fight them. So that part is basic enough to understand. But I was interested in like, okay, well, how was IMC formed? And I don't really feel like we got a lot of that.
yeah, I agree with you there. And we'll get into like criticisms that we have if we really have that many a little later.
Hmm.
But for me, I think like the clicking was really like jumping in and out of the Titan. Because there was a point, I think it wasn't even in the first mission, it was a little later, where you really understand that you can leave the Titan at any moment. Leave BT, jump in, kill these guys up here on the side, and jump up on the balcony and kill those guys up there, and then jump back in your Titan. And it was cool because then you're like, oh yeah, of course BT is going to keep fighting and doing his thing. And
Yeah.
it started clicking, I think, when you remember the opening cinematic, right, where it's showing what a pilot can do, and there's a
Oh, he's
voice
just
narrating.
like fucking up everyone.
Yeah, it just says like, oh, this is a pilot. Pilots are highly trained and blah blah blah. And it shows the Titan and it shows a pilot fighting everybody and cloaking and grappling hooking and all that stuff. And then I think the moment in the campaign where I was able to really accomplish it was where I said this game is sick. Like where I was like, okay, I get it. This game is
Once you're
awesome.
able to put the stuff you saw into practice.
Yeah, because I think the promise, any game, right? Games always have the opening cinematic. You always want it to be as cool as the opening cinematic, and it usually never is.
Yeah.
But this one really did pretty much hit it. I think like everything I saw at the beginning in this epic movie looking thing, I was able to accomplish. I was able to jump out of a Titan and then wall run and then cloak behind these guys and then assassinate them and then jump back into BT.
Yeah.
And it was cool too because like just you were able to like wherever you jumped into your Titan from, it would have a different animation entering the Titan.
Yeah,
It
he
was,
like grab your
I was like, oh dude, this is so cool.
I want to mention as well too because there were two game modes. Obviously, it has a good multiplayer as well. I don't know if you jumped in multiplayer much, but I played a little bit, and there was a moment where there's like a alleyway of like two buildings that is very clearly meant for wall jumping between and going down. And I saw an enemy guy in there, like another player, and I grapple hooked up there and I chased him down while wall jumping back and forth between it with the shotgun. I'm just like, this game's sick.
That's awesome.
That's like when the multiplayer clicked for me too, because it's just like there's no other games that I've played, at least, and I've played at my fair share of multiplayer shooters where you have that much freedom to move and you can have those kind of sequences. Because like it looked like something out of a movie. Like we were going back and forth, and I don't know, it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was high octane, bro.
So I I over the last weekend I actually played a little bit of zombies with my cousin, and we played some zombies on Black Ops, and
We're
playing some zombies on Black Ops, and man, it's so crazy going from something like Titanfall and then going and playing like Black Ops.
It's like you're powerless. You're so grounded.
You can't move. Yeah, you cannot move. You don't jump as high. You stay to the ground. Even when
Titanfall is the melee of shooters.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah,
I can get behind that.
Movement.
so even check this out. So when you're you can run and then like slide when you crouch, when you input crouch in Call of Duty, right? But if you're going down like a slope, like stairs, it doesn't matter. You don't keep sliding down the stairs. You just stop, right? Whereas something like Titanfall, you slide indefinitely. You're just going down a hill. Of course, you would slide indefinitely. Yeah. It's so interesting to me that was just, we were just okay with the way Call of Duty was doing things. Like, we're just like, oh yeah, you can't jump. You can't really jump.
It's like ignorance is bliss, man. And now that you know what it can be, games will never be the same.
I know, they will never be the same. It's so
not
weird.
Worth it anymore.
It's strange. We can't. Just think about like the limitations on your movement in Call of Duty. I guess it's because back then we were really cared about realism. We just really cared about bare bones, like or what would be called bare bones, like just shoot, run, aim, shoot, repeat. Run, aim, shoot, and repeat. Whereas Titanfall is more like run, wall run, shoot, wall run again. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Let me cloak myself real quick.
grapple hook.
Let me grapple. Yeah, it's some of that. Oh yeah, there's BT over there. Hang on, let me jump inside BT and kind of mess these guys up. And it just feels like there's more options, which I think I'm glad that design-wise we've kind of moved that direction in the last 8 years. I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah, man, it's a juicy game.
So, art style, Matt, what do you think?
I honestly I don't have too much to say as far as like the graphics are good, yeah, and I think 2016, and I mean, doesn't feel long ago, but that's 4 years. It's a lot of time for graphics to develop, I guess. I think it holds up fine. Obviously, it's still a very beautiful game to look at. It did have some awesome sequences, like during the time mission where everything freezes and you have to.
That's cool.
Yeah, it had some very cool sequences. Very cool, I guess, design and setup for for the set, for lack of a better word. But I didn't think it was a beautiful game and it was great, but it was nothing spectacular. And I don't think it played into the, I guess, theme or story that well, or it just didn't add anything to it as far as the messaging or anything like that. But I mean, it was a good game for me, obviously, but the art just didn't.
Yeah, I agree. The art doesn't really factor in. It kind of just looks like it's not like they put a ton of intention behind trying to make
it's just like it's like just good graphics for a shooter, it's
yeah. I will comment. Well, take this and something that came out the same year. So take Titanfall's art style and take something like we brought it up earlier, Overwatch's art style. Does that play a role in something being more commercially appealing? So I think that's the only thing is like.
Well, I think something like Overwatch obviously has a more cartoony style.
Yeah.
So I think that affects maybe that communicates, okay, this is the target audience for the game. Whereas if you look at something like Fortnite 2 versus, say, a battle royale like PUBG, obviously based off the art style, maybe it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Like, obviously everyone plays Fortnite and everyone plays PUBG, but obviously looking at the art style,
everyone played PUBG.
Everyone played PUBG, yeah. Obviously, by looking at the art style, it's like, okay, PUBG is probably meant for people that prefer more, I don't even know if I'd call it realistic, but more gritty graphics almost, or less cartoony, less colorful.
If there's a spectrum, right, then of realism and cartoony, then PUBG is more on the realism
side, yeah.
And Fortnite, Overwatch, games like that are more on the cartoony side.
Yeah, whereas Titanfall 2 lean more towards the realism side.
Yeah, it's like CS:GO and Valorant, right? Valorant is obviously more on the cartoony side than CS:GO. I think over time we're going to see if it's the way to go to be successful within that particular genre. But I think there's just something to be said about art style. I mean, I'm completely okay with all the choices made on the way Titanfall 2 looks. It's meant to be an action movie. It's meant to be on the realism side.
How did you feel about the grain they added to it? Or is that the grain, like the gradient, how it looks like a movie, basically?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, yeah. Exactly.
I had to turn it down a little bit.
It's meant to be
like an action movie.
Like an action movie.
Yeah.
Like an action movie. So it's cool. But one thing I think we need to think about too is the choices they didn't make, right? The choice to not, I get it. The intention is to make it like an action movie. But does that, should they, if they went more cartoony, right? Like Overwatch, would that have made them more commercially successful? Does that impact, because Fortnite, it's like being played by everybody, right? And is that because it's like not on that realism side and more on that cartoony side? Overwatch kind of was more commercially successful than this. Is that because
I wouldn't say so. I think the where Titanfall to where it lacked, and the reason it wasn't as popular wasn't because of anything having to do with the art style or the gameplay. I think that was more so just maybe, and I wasn't keeping up with it at the time, maybe more so the marketing of it at the time. And again, just it being released in kind of a saturated time range for shooter video games.
Right.
So I don't think the art style would have affected it too much. And honestly, I don't think it would have worked with a cartoony art style personally.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. It's just, I don't know. It's just an interesting thought I've been having about the way the art style is really going to affect the marketing itself. Because okay,
we'll never know.
If you look at here's one of my theories about that. Just to stay on the commercial success versus non-commercial success topic is if you look at Overwatch, and you look at like the poster for it,
Mm-hmm.
it's Tracer with a couple guns, and she's like smiling, right? And the Titanfall 2 poster is like BT and Jack Cooper like destroying a wall and like running, and there's a gun and an explosion and stuff. I think like just creating a character that's very well defined and easy to get behind is really specifically what Blizzard's pretty good at. And I think
with Tracer, it's like they clearly have a mascot.
It's a mascot. Yeah, it's a mascot. Exactly. And Titanfall 2 doesn't. I mean, Jack. I love Jack and BT in the actual story, but I don't know them as a mascot when I'm looking at the poster. Right. So when that kid when somebody is looking for a game to play and they're trying something out, when they see that Overwatch poster, it's like kind of makes you want to play a little bit more, I'd say. Yeah, that's the marketing aspect of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, but and actually, I was gonna blame that on them not having an established, I guess, IP. But I mean, Overwatch was, as far as IP goes, less
More
established than
actually
Titanfall. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's definitely something they could have done better on the marketing. But I don't think that's an art style thing necessarily. I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's more of just how did they present what they had.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a strong marketing choice and and a good move on Blizzard's end. All right, so sound design.
Oh, I mean, and I think maybe I don't have as much as for both the art and the sound respectively. I don't think I have maybe as good of an eye or an ear as you would, because I think you're a little more creative than me. But
that's not true. Come on, you're so creative, man.
I fucking love you. It was good. Like, it was good. It created an intense atmosphere, and the moments where it needed to be, I guess, more, what's the word, high orchestrated, it was like when the intense moments during like air battles or the climactic points of the campaign. I think they did a good job with the sound design and the soundtracks to add to the intensity of the moment and to help build up suspense and things like that. And I liked it a lot.
Yeah, one thing about the sound design and it's just really well produced.
Yeah,
really good sound design all the way through, right? It's not like
I'm like, is that Hans Zimmerman?
our previous our previous episode was on Oberdin, where the sound design is more idea driven, right? It's less. I mean, obviously it's well produced too, but it's more, the sound design plays into like such a large part of the game. It's more upfront, where this is just like great sound design, right? It's like standard great stuff. One thing I do want to say about certain cues though is I play a lot of Apex, just so all the listeners know. I love Apex a lot, and I want to talk about it a little bit later.
But he plays on his Xbox, so he can't play with me.
No, it's because I don't want to sweat too much on the PC. I just want to play Apex and relax on my couch. That's why I play on my Xbox. All right, so I play a lot of Apex, and the cloaking sound and like grappling hook and stuff. Those are sounds that like kind of are inside that game too. And it was kind of cool hearing like how they're related via sound. Like I don't want to try to make the cloaking sound, but it's like,
That's pretty good.
It's just it was just a really cool sound. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the Mirage sound. That's awesome. And then the guns too. All the guns are the same guns in Apex, and then some of them are a little bit different. Like in
I didn't realize how much the game pulled, or Apex pulled from this game, how it's very much directly in the same universe.
Yeah,
I remember I texted at one point, I'm like, well, what's the guy, Pathfinder's the robot in Apex?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, there's so many, all these guys look like Pathfinders, and you're like, they are Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I was like,
those are I haven't dove too much into the lore, but I think those are like the almost like
it's like the same model, it looks like.
Yeah, but I think those are like the droids of that universe, like from Star Wars, worker drone people type things. And then Pathfinder is just like the gone wrong version, or like the messed up one or something. But I really like the relationship between those two games, just for me, and kind of seeing that those things were related via sound, not just like the name of the gun and the way the gun operated, but also the way the gun sounded. I think that was awesome. Like so in Titanfall 2 you have the double take, and in Apex you have the triple take, right? And they make the same like sound roughly. Super cool. And that's just for me because I play Apex. I don't know if that would work if you just play Titanfall and just you probably wouldn't have the same impact and go like, oh, neat. You probably wouldn't even think that.
Yeah.
That worked.
Yeah, I definitely haven't played as much Apex as you, but it's just fun to see those, I guess, similarities between each game. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So now, Matt, this category.
Nani?
It gets me every time. So this is the category where we talk about what surprised you most during the game that made you say, Nani?
Nani? Bro, easily the time travel.
Yeah,
easily the time travel.
I'm going with that too.
So, like, it was so out of left field, I felt like. And I was just like, what is this? But not even just the time travel, but the way they integrated it into the game mechanics, I loved. So there were so many moments where, like, when they first introduced it, I think it was
you just start walking down a hallway and then all of a sudden you're back in time. Yeah.
And then there's so many moments with it where it's like, okay, do I want to, like, I'm about to get killed by a bunch of soldiers, so I would time flip, and then I'm like, well, now I have these giant beasts like in my face. I'm like, I'm gonna die either way. And I don't know if we elaborate on it that well, but the way the time mechanic works is that you're able to just alternate very quickly between the past and the present to navigate through a facility. So let's say in the present, for example, there is a hallway that's on fire, and obviously you can't walk through that, or for whatever reason you can't wall run over it. Then you could switch to the past and you can get past that point. And then once you're past that point, you can switch back to the future to where you need to be.
Yeah. So that was the moment that made you go, Nani?
Nani? Nandeska? Yeah, it's just that I haven't played a shooter, or really, I can't remember the last time I played a game like that integrated time travel like that. I will say, I wish they elaborated on it a little bit more. I feel like it was kind of just only used in that mission.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun mechanic, and I was just very surprised to see it in there, and it was fun. And
so I was gonna pick that moment, but I'm gonna switch it now because I have a backup.
What?
Since you stole my moment. So my moment for that is probably the end, like the end of the last mission where you feel like it makes it look like BT dies, because you and BT both get captured and you're getting killed.
Oh yeah.
And BT says like, grab the smart pistol, and then you grab the smart pistol and then just start running, and it's like a final hoorah, like,
dude, that
victory lap moment where so just so everybody knows, there's a moment in the game, and this is huge spoilers because it's one of the coolest parts, so skip ahead like 2 minutes.
We already spoiled the game.
Well, yeah, we have, but this part we haven't spoiled specifically. So there's a part where you're about to die, and your robot, your Titan, is going to die too. So you take his memory, basically you take like his hard drive, which is like his eyeball, you kind of pull it out, and then there's like an emergency kit inside of that part of the Titan, and it's a smart pistol. And the smart pistol, I believe, was in Titanfall 1 as a gun too, but I think it was something like a kill streak or something like that. It's basically an auto lock gun. So when someone's in a specific
your
area,
bullets will literally curve.
Your bullets literally curve and shoot people in the head and completely destroy them. And you have unlimited ammo, and it's just a pistol, and like you're holding your robot's eyeball, your Titan's eyeball. So it's like a victory lap, literally. Like, you're unstoppable. You just have this smart pistol. You're just running. You kill like 100 people, instantly headshotting every single one of them. Your clip holds like 18 bullets. You could lock on like 10. You could lock on 10 guys at once and immediately headshot 10 guys. You just feel like a god. It's awesome. So that moment was really cool. I think a lot of people talk about that moment, but it raises that is actually related to one of my criticisms of the game, which is where the hell was that smart pistol every other point in the game?
See, I thought that too, but you had to take his eye out.
Okay, but you're telling me that I can't just have a smart pistol with, like, how'd it get in there? It has to exist. It has to exist.
Well, no.
Oh, so the eye is part of, like, the only reason.
Yeah. Like, the way I took it was, like, the thing that's locking on is his eye, you know?
So it's a smart eye, not a smart pistol.
Whatever, bro. Yeah, I mean, you can't just like take BT's eye out in the middle of a fucking battle. Like,
I mean,
what?
if you give me a smart pistol, I'd do it because that thing literally
I'll
was.
take BT over a smart. Good luck fighting another Titan with your smart pistol, you fucking nerd.
Honestly, okay, that criticism is literally like just it's a sci-fi action movie. Like, who cares? I'm
Yeah.
mostly just being critical, but
I was
also,
critical too, but then I was like, I'm not going to be like Lucas. We need
oh
above this. Yeah.
So okay,
That actually leads into my favorite moment.
Okay, go ahead. Go. What's your favorite?
Which my favorite moment was I had two, so I'll give both. But it was the sear kit. Like I felt so badass during that. I was like, my first thought was exactly what you just said was your criticism. Like, okay, where was this? Like, where was this 30 minutes ago when we were dying? I was like, all right, it's clearly for emergencies only. Like, I kind of
I don't buy
that
it.
criticism aside. But the other favorite was the mid-air battle with the Viper unit.
Yes.
That was
so cool.
So badass.
You want to give context for that one to the listeners?
I don't even remember the campaign content. Basically, you're on top of one of your gunships and you're chasing after one of the IMC's larger ships, right? To try and stop it from taking off to launching basically their ultimate weapon. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point here, but that's how I remember it.
Pretty much right.
And while you're on the ship trying to get closer to be able to, I guess, attack it, a Titan unit that can fly, just straight up fly, enters, and it leads to this crazy battle sequence with the cinematics here are crazy, and the design of it all was very well done, and it's just super high octane, super fast paced, and that also is kind of what leads you into the more, I guess, the crux of the game, to where you get the sear kit, the climax and everything, and
that Titan battle was actually kind of hard for me. It took me a couple.
It was difficult.
Yeah, it was difficult. Even I was playing on normal. That was probably the hardest Titan battle. Even more hard than the last one. So.
Speaking of that, because I think the Viper, the name of it was just the unit, but not the pilot. But and this is kind of off topic, but one of my I'm not criticizing that, but like one of my favorite parts of the game was all the non-mercenary Titan units that you would fight.
Oh, they were trash.
They were all trash, and they all talk such big game. They're like, see you later, pilot. Like the cheesiest lines.
Yeah, just like
I'm gonna send you to the scrapyard. Yeah. Who's this punk?
Yeah, it's like
third-rate pilot.
You really think you can beat me?
Yeah. Like, do you know who I am?
This isn't
I'm an
my
NPC.
Name. And then they got back in their Titan and then just got destroyed by
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Yeah, I did enjoy the corny semi-antagonist villains kind of the mini bosses coming out.
The mini bosses were fun.
A little bit. Yeah, I love. I got a soft spot for those like. This isn't even my final form. kind of lines. Like I love. I think I gotta blame Dragon Ball for that or something. Just like
that's to Frieza.
That villain just said something so cool. Get a little older and you realize how corny and lame they are, but you still love them.
Like the classic, like nothing personal, kid.
Yeah, I love the nothing personal kid. It's
just business.
So, all right. So, my favorite moment, I'll go with mine. Honestly, the last part, I had a tear slowly roll down my face on the last.
It was
part.
hard.
So good, yeah, man. So, big spoiler time again. We should just stop giving. We should just give one big spoiler warning at the very beginning.
Yeah, we keep forgetting to do that. Actually,
I mean, come on. This is a podcast about a video game. It's just it's gonna be spoiled. So my favorite moment is the very end where he sacrifices himself to save Jack Cooper because he did all the math. He clearly says he did the math.
Ran the numbers.
Yeah, he ran the numbers. He knew what he had to do, and it's cool. Okay, so one thing I do want to say is Titanfall is really, really great. Whoever wrote it, this is what I'm going to tell them when I meet them, wherever I meet them. The writers knew how to take an idea, build upon it, expand on it, and then finally see it come to fruition. So, for instance, right at the very beginning, when you first link up with BT, there's like the 3 protocols, and protocol 3 is protect the pilot. Protocol 1 is like, get connected to the pilot, neural link, which is the trope of neural links. I'm not going to get into it with your.
It kind of reminded me of what's that one movie called? Pacific.
Pacific Rim, and then
Yeah.
Neon Genesis. I mean, it's just a sci-fi trope.
Yeah, with like every robot thing, you have to have the
you
emotional connection.
you have a neural link. It's just
Yeah,
it's
it's what you do.
Yeah, it's what you
It's just the standard issue.
So there's a moment at the very end where you guys have to destroy this super weapon and kind of go into the core, and you're ready. You're gonna die. You and BT are gonna sacrifice yourselves to kill the core and save the world, right? And it's epic. It's the thing that's supposed to happen, right? And you're going out, and then BT pulls you out. Oh yeah, wait, hang on. Before I get into that part, one of the ideas that was established earlier on in the game was the fact that BT can throw you too.
Oh, can he?
Right. So it's called a fastball, right? And he goes like, "Oh, I need a fastball, BT." That's like a line that gets said a few times, and BT throws Jack Cooper, and then you end up in a location where you otherwise couldn't. And at first, they kind of introduce it, and Jack's scared.
He's like,
"Oh, are you sure about
Jack's
this?"
like, Nani?
Yeah, exactly. Then BT throws him, and it's like, okay, cool. And then at the very end, when you guys are going into that core, BT pulls you out, and you're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, BT?" And he says, "Protocol 3, protect the pilot," and then just throws you. And then, so good, so good. Oh God, I just get chills just even repeating the line. Because they established like the fact that you can be thrown. They established the whole thing about like, throwing you and protecting the pilot, and like it just shows like that BT is like, because he's a robot, right? But
Yeah,
he also happens to have an emotional connection to our main protagonist, and they're buddies and everything. And then BT is like, there's a part of him that has a heart right there. He's not just circuits, Matt. And
at the end of it, he kind of reminded me of the. Did you see Big Hero 6, the Disney movie?
I actually
With
missed that.
Baymax.
No, I
it kind of reminded me of the relationship between Baymax and the main character.
Well, it's
his name, but
reminded me of Iron Giant, which is
yeah.
The classic, right? I mean, it's kind of funny. The ending really did remind me of that ending. Just giant robot guys saving the humans by sacrificing himself.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, all the movies I watch are the same. Like everything's just rehashed, repainted.
Yeah, dude, it's true. It's true. I mean, there was no neural link between the Iron Giant and Hogarth from the movie, but there kind of was in a weird way. But anyway, that was my favorite moment. It was awesome. It literally was just like one single tear.
Very emotional. Very emotional.
So Matt, that was everything that we liked about the game. What part of the game did we not
Mickey
like so much? Yeah, what did Mickey like? Yeah.
What would Mickey like, aka what was not great?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have a couple actually. First off, BT dying. I didn't like that. I'm saying it for more than the obvious. Like, of course, I didn't want him to die. I knew the whole time it was obvious to me he was probably going to die.
Oh, dude, they fooled me.
Really? I thought it was so obvious. But I would have liked to see them subvert it somehow, because to me, I kind of felt like it was obviously building up to that, especially when they introduced the third protocol of protect the pilot. I was like, okay, obviously something's going to happen where BT sacrifices himself.
You're clearly way smarter than me about these tropes.
My brain is huge. I went to college. But it was just a little too obvious to me personally. And I would have liked to see this subvert it in some way. Like maybe somehow when he threw you away from the blast at the end, somehow he also threw his core with you. Like as like a last ditch effort, somehow he threw the core with him so he got to continue being your Titan in another Titan body, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would have liked that. And then for the campaign, the villains were honestly pretty weak and
pretty lame. Yeah,
they were very one-dimensional, and there was really nothing interesting about them, to be honest. Like they were fun to fight, and they were like they were just very typical villains with one-liners like, "Oh, I'm a psychopath that does this for the money."
Yeah, yeah, that's all it is. No, that's literally a line.
That's all they are, basically.
One of the guys, he just doesn't kill you because he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not killing you. They're not paying me anything for it."
Yeah,
and then he just leaves. And it's
yeah. It was the villains were very weak for me in that facet, and I was a little disappointed in that too, because it's possible to create good villains in single player campaigns like this for FPS. Is like think back to Modern Warfare 2 Shepard, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he was a great villain and
He's a
I was
memorable.
very excited to see him die at the end of that, right? And at this point, I was just like, I'm just killing mercs because that's where the campaign's taking me.
Yeah,
is how I felt about it. So that was weak for me. And then I just felt like the lore wasn't established that well.
Yeah.
But other than that, nothing really negative on my end.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess maybe not like with the gameplay specifically, but I think they could have probably found a better release window for the game to maybe have helped it be more successful.
The next year would have been good. Like literally waiting a year.
Just cleaning it up wherever you could have.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly. And that would have been fine. But I agree with you on those criticisms about the one-dimensional villains. I think they are extremely one-dimensional. It's like they literally cookie cut each individual little mini boss into the same person. That's why I even struggled to remember the names of the people.
Yeah.
They're not memorable.
I mean, the only one I remember is Kane. I'm not even sure which one that was. And Ash, the robot. Because I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And I felt like they could have had some cool characters there. I was really upset. I really wanted to learn about Ash and see what her thing was. Or I guess a robot. So
yeah.
I don't know. It had a whatever.
it wasn't memorable, I think. It's just
yeah.
And I think like I think they spent most of the story is spent building the relationship up between Jack and BT, right?
Yeah. That's definitely the whole point of the story, but I would have liked supplemental reading.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think I agree with pretty much everything you just said. I think that the game could have been, I want it to be longer, right? So
it was very short.
It was very short, and campaigns are short. I think when we were younger, they might have felt a little bit longer for one reason or another, but this campaign just felt short. I think it's a 6-hour campaign, maybe a little bit shorter depending on how fast you get through some things.
Yeah.
But I think it could have been 8 or 9, and they could have expanded maybe on the villains a little bit, maybe had a little bit of exposition on the story, maybe a cinematic, some sort of. I would have taken a voiceover at the beginning that just set it up, because I actually had to look up the universe, like what is going on in this universe, and I didn't learn. I happen to know that Titanfall takes place on a frontier star system in the distant future where humanity has discovered faster than light travel, and they're like on the edge of the galaxy, whatever, right? Typical sci-fi stuff. But I had no idea that was the case playing the game. I had to look that up.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think you did either. I don't think that's anywhere in there.
All I knew was like, I'm a guy and I got a robot.
Yeah. I don't
got a big robot.
I don't know if it's meant to,
I mean, they give you enough to be able to like piece together the general idea of what's going on. But
good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah. That's what I got. Not much is very clear, but they definitely could have done better there.
Yeah. One of my other things that I'd say is a weaker aspect of the game is, well, really the ability to. I wish there was more to do when you were outside of Titan and then inside of a Titan. I wish that like so there's a battle where a bunch of Titans attack a bunch of other enemy Titans, right? When you're like kind of invading that base right before the airship mission. You know what I'm talking about? You and a bunch of your allies drop Titanfall into like
like the big Titan raid.
Yeah, it's like a big Titan raid. It's super fun. It's really high octane. I wanted to be able to jump out of my Titan and then dismantle or jump on top of an enemy Titan and just like do a bunch of crap to them and just mess them up. But I had to stay in my Titan the whole time. You know, I
get wrecked.
I was anticipating a little bit more interplay between the Titan and your regular human form, so that you could switch between the two and have.
I was afraid to even try to leave my Titan. Honestly, I will say though, I tried it in the multiplayer though, and there is a little bit more of that in the multiplayer.
Okay.
Where you can. You can jump out of your Titan and they can jump onto an enemy Titan, like take out the batteries to lower their health faster and stuff.
That's dope. See, why wasn't that in the game? That's weird, because
I'm almost wondering if it was. Maybe we just didn't try it.
I feel like I tried it a couple times. And
it
happened, but maybe it is in there. But I feel like if you're gonna do it anywhere, it should be in the campaign where you're obviously more controlled and you can make that really fun for the player. And also, my last criticism, dude, where was my grappling hook? Did I miss that?
Okay.
Dude, why did I not get one? I was waiting for it the whole time.
I only got the grappling hook in the multiplayer.
Yeah. So there's no.
I don't know where. Maybe. I imagine the reason they didn't put it in the single player campaign was because they didn't want you to like try and do too much game breaking stuff. Excuse me. I would imagine that was the reason they wouldn't have included it, just to keep him more on track. And I mean, he had plenty of, maneuverability, but it would have been sick if they had it in the single player because it's like fun to just grapple hook at like an enemy grunt and reel him in and then like beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. No, I was anticipating. So I played on Xbox. So my LB button was like the cloaking button, and then it became the switch between time button. When I was in that one level where you switch between time, I was waiting for the level where it would become the grappling hook button. I would start using a grappling hook and go everywhere and jump here and jump there and do some things that required a grappling hook to use. I'm sure they probably had it in development and then it maybe didn't make the cut. Because it's in the opening cinematic too. It's like a pilot using a grappling hook and then he does everything that you can do in the game, including grappling hook, which you could not do in the campaign.
Yeah, so I think part of it though too. I think it would have made some parts too easy, like because there's very clearly some parts where they want you to use your brain to figure out, okay, how can I parkour this with the jumpsuit? And then if you fuck up with the jumpsuit, it would have been a very easy cop out just to like grapple to wherever. Yeah,
they could have built a level around it.
They definitely could have, but I don't know. I mean,
these are very nitpicky issues. Yeah. By the way, everybody. Yeah. No, I thought it was great. Otherwise, other than not having a fucking grappling hook, but whatever. So, Matt, other games from this developer. You want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, man. So Respawn, they don't have that big of a library. So the only other games they've made, obviously the original Titanfall, and I haven't looked into this at all, but they made one for the iOS and the Android, a Titanfall Assault, and then Apex Legends, obviously, which came out in 2019, Jedi Fallen Order, which I haven't played, but I've only heard amazing things about. I've heard it's basically the Dark Souls, but for Star Wars, which is really cool. And then this year, I don't know if it's come out yet. Let me check. They made it hasn't come out yet, but they're making a Medal of Honor for the
nice.
Oculus Rift. Or Oculus of Rift.
Oculus of Rift. That
for the
so
Oculus
epic.
Rift, so virtual reality. So they definitely, I mean, Titanfall obviously was at the very least a decent game. The original Titanfall, that is. Titanfall 2 is great. The Apex Legends obviously is really fun. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is, I haven't played it, but I'm confident I would enjoy it, and it's only gotten great reviews. I haven't heard anything negative about it. So obviously they're a great developer, and they're going to keep doing good things. I don't see any reason they wouldn't. And I would really love to see, I don't even have any VR stuff, but I would love to see them integrate Titanfall with some VR headsets. I think that'd be pretty cool.
How would so they're big on movement, right? Respawn is. So
you would probably throw up.
Yeah.
While you're playing.
Yeah, they're
probably gets a little motion sickness.
All that kinetic energy would probably make me run into a wall.
Yeah.
For sure.
You would just start sprinting in your bedroom. I got it.
They're actually turns out Respawn is making a workout game where you just run on walls in your house. It's VR. Yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah, cool, man. They have a good resume so far. I'm
really excited. Good. Everything they've made has been great.
I'm a huge Apex fan. I love that game a lot. So Respawn's, I'm obviously a big Respawn fan. I've dropped some money on the Apex. So I'm supporting the cause a little bit. Really like them.
And I think they might be making another Titanfall 3 eventually, if I remember reading correctly. But
so there's a 2-year window between Titanfall.
That's speculation.
There's a 2-year window between Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2. And
I think everyone thought Apex Legends was going to be Titanfall 3, and then it was Apex Legends.
It's Apex Legends, which is fine with me. Fine with me.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Maybe we'll see Titanfall 3 on the next gen. On PS5. Cool.
Yeah, and they could do a lot with that stuff, that technology for sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, final thoughts, Matt. Has this earned the Matthew Rockaby Segoy of approval?
I got to give it the sweet Segoy of approval. Great game. Single player campaign was great. Like an action movie. Loved it. Obviously, could have done a little bit better on the lore and the villains, but overall, great game. And while nothing special, like nothing like an esport, like it couldn't be an esport, but I think the multiplayer from the couple hours I put in was also really fun as well. So got the Segoy of approval for me.
Awesome. This has earned the Lucas Luna seal of approval. Really fun game. I think everything you just said, Matt, is on point. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to really touch too much of the multiplayer. But as far as the game design itself, the campaign, single player story, it's pretty awesome. It's a great way to spend your weekend if you have a free weekend.
I can easily knock it out in 5-6 hours.
Yeah, if I knock it out 5-6 hours, enjoy a good time. Crack open a beer and play some Titanfall campaign. It's really great. My only criticism, really, just give me my fucking grappling hook in the campaign. I just want the grappling hook. That's it.
One more thing I do want to touch on that I think was interesting was the fact that the sequel added a campaign instead of taking away a campaign.
That's huge. Yeah.
Usually you see that the opposite way where they just choose to focus on multiplayer, but
just another reason
worth mentioning.
Another reason
bring it up earlier.
Another reason we like Respawn. Honestly,
we love Respawn on this podcast.
Yeah, this is a pro Respawn podcast. So
huge
great job.
fans.
Good job, guys.
You gotta play.
Cool,
you gotta play Fallen Order now too. Damn.
Yeah. We'll put that on the list. So cool, Matt. I think that's all we got for today. Matt, where can we find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter at Great Job Matthew and on Twitch. Stream occasionally on twitch.tv/FreelFrosty.
And I could be found on Instagram and Twitter at GreatJobLucas. You could also email us at thanksforplayingpod@gmail.com. Matt, where can you find our podcast on social media?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at TFP Podcasts with an S at the end.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. The next game we are playing, just so everybody knows, is going to be the Stanley Parable. Awesome, guys. Okay. if you're looking for a cool game to play, download the Stanley Parable right now. It's awesome, and we'll be you can play along with me and Matt for the next episode. Thanks, guys.
See you later. Give it a bop.
Thanks for Playing is a production of Good Ideas Only. Your hosts are Lucas Luna and Matt Rockaby. Our music is by the impeccable Samuel Luna, and our logo design was done by the talented Isaac Palestino. Special thanks to the BroCal Bunch and Red Circle.